Welcome in to the DNVR Avalanche Podcast. I am Eric. This is AJ, and there's Meghan, and I'm going to shave my head like Rudo. You know?
No.
We leave for a couple days and come back, and Rudo's got no more hair. You know what I mean? I'm not sure what Tiff did, but it was all gone.
He stepped out of line.
I saw a picture on Twitter, and I didn't know who that was. I mean, honestly, I had to zoom in, like, who is sitting there? So that was funny. Anyway, fun night last night. Avs kind of, I thought was a fantastic game. I heard Bednar this morning say, like, it wasn't perfect, but it was damn good. Well, I call that the pretty close to perfect. You know, that's me. I mean, I know perfect doesn't exist, but I tell you one thing. It was fun to see them from the drop of the puck. These guys were going, and I felt that even though they are the comeback kids, right? The Anaheim Ducks, they didn't stand a chance. And we said it before the pregame show. We wanted to see the Avs be up by a goal or two and then see what the Ducks would do. And I heard people today on different podcasts talking about, like, they were betting the Anaheim Ducks heavy. You know what I mean? Because they're like, oh, they always come back. And, yeah, it didn't work. It didn't work. So what stood out the most to you, AJ?
I mean, the way that the Avs skated, really, the way that they played Avalanche hockey beginning to end of the game. Anaheim just didn't really, it's a tired team on the back-to-back, and, a team that has certainly overperformed their talent level for right now, and got a little bit of a course correction last night. They did, a little reminder that there are some challenges in the NHL against good teams. And they've got a long way to go for their talent level to get to where Colorado's is, for it to mature and get to where they want it to be. And the Avs just had a good night. I mean, when Kiviranta has a 3-point night, Logan O'Connor looks like your best player. You have 8 players with multi-point nights. Like, that's...
And the goalie.
Yeah, Georgiev gets an assist.
Yeah, like you've had pretty close to the perfect night offensively.
Obviously, some new blood in there. It was kind of nice to see. You mentioned Kiviranta. What about all of us kind of waiting for Caleb Jones, right? Obviously, it's been 2 games now. 2 games, right? That was the second game that he's played. Yeah. How'd you feel? Because I know you love your Eagles, which is fine. We all do. But how'd you feel that Caleb Jones did?
He's not a Colorado Eagle. He's a Colorado Avalanche player in my eyes.
There you go. All
I think he is a full-time NHLer and has been waiting for the opportunity to demonstrate to the Avs. And I think they were well aware of this fact. But in talking to Caleb Jones before Game 2 for him in an Avs sweater, his messaging and what he needed to do is exactly what Jared Bednar said he needs to do this morning. And it's consistency, because he's done everything that he needs to show well in front of the Avs staff so far. My only concern is fear of realistic opportunity for him. He knew when they brought him over that he could be 7. But I'd really like to see if he could be utilized more as a 6. And I know that's maybe a bit controversial, and I'm not trying to throw anyone out of the lineup prematurely, especially because there are injuries they're battling right now. The opportunity is there for Jones to get in games, but what he's shown has been very solid defensively, and there is that flash of offense that I think just helps to get things going on the back end as the whole. I think a lot of their offense does run through their blue line beyond just Cale Makar, and I think that this is sort of what they've been looking for in that Gerard-Byram pairing to get going, and I just think Caleb Jones adds to that, and that's part of their D-Corps identity that I think has been missing a little bit from the bottom pairing, and I'd like to see him get more opportunities, and he just has to continue doing everything that he's done so far. And I don't want to see anyone injured and that be the reason that he gets those chances. But I'm excited to see what comes next, because it is kind of in his hands. If he continues to show as well as he has, he might make the Avs staff make some difficult decisions.
And that's what you got to do as a player. And I think Bednar today said he is a full-time NHLer. when he plays consistent like he did the last 2 games, right? AJ, it's only 2 games. I know that. And I know you're a big fan of his, but how do you see him sticking around? Let's say Manson's back. How do you see how that plays out?
Well, I mean, obviously the vulnerable spot there is it's Jack Johnson's lineup spot. And it's really just because he and Johnson and Jones are so different in how they play the game that I think it's just what is the coaching staff more comfortable with.
Yeah.
Jones is a much more well-rounded player at this point in their careers where, you know, he does have a little bit of puck skill, but he does have some physicality. He does do a lot of different things well.
Yeah.
And he has 200 NHL games played, so this is not a Sam Malinsky like,
that's right.
Hey, we don't really know what this guy is at the NHL level. And Caleb Jones has been pretty good. So I think it's really just what the coaching staff is comfortable with. And they've opened up the door for that conversation by removing Jack Johnson from the very stereotypical third pairing defensive defenseman that plays a lot on the penalty kill. Jack Johnson's like 5th on the Avs in shorthanded time on ice per game. Like he just does not, they're not leaning on him for that. You know, Sam Girard has taken that job. And so if you're talking about a guy that is mostly going to play between 12 and 15 minutes for you at even strength, Caleb Jones is just a better fit for who you are as a team. And it's not like Jack Johnson is such a warrior and so physical, and it's such a dominant aspect of his game. You know, it's not like a Nikita Zadorov or a Radko Gudas or, you know, some of these more physical guys that's a calling card of their game. It's not really it for Jack Johnson. You know, he's a tank, and he does have a physical element to his game, but it's not a dominant one. And with Jones, he's just for my money, he's just a better player at this point in their careers.
Yeah.
And I think that's where if the coaching staff just says, hey, when Josh Manson gets healthy, we have our like rugged tough guy. Go do that, Josh. Go eat hearts out. But you've seen there have been some issues because those 2 guys with Johnson and Manson with puck moving issues when they're on a pairing together.
Yeah.
And with Jones, he adds a little more lineup versatility. He can play left side. He can play right side. He's done a lot of both in his career. And because he has puck moving acumen, they can move around their D pairings more than they have been. And so I think it's just if you want a lineup with a little more versatility and a little more all-around flavor, Jones is the guy. If you want what Jack Johnson does, then Jack Johnson is the guy. So Manson is, Manson not being out right now gives them a look with both guys in the lineup.
Yeah.
And it's an opportunity for both guys to distinguish themselves from one another even more and say, this is what I look like in this alignment. We saw last night with Jones in, with both of them in, lots of pairing moving around.
Yeah.
Whereas with Johnson and Manson in the lineup, that kind of hallmark Avalanche flavor of like pick your spots, try out different guys with different guys has been way more limited this season. And last night with Jones in there, they got crazy. They were trying all kinds of stuff all over the lineup. And so I just think it's more versatility because Jones is a little bit of a jack of all trades, master of none. And at this point in his career, Jack Johnson is more like a master of one. It's just the one thing that he does. It's a very narrow lane for him to be an impact player in a game on a night-to-night basis. Like last night, obviously, he has 2 assists.
Yeah.
He has the gimme goal at the end of the it's a great shot at the end of the St. Louis game. But, like, you're not getting that on a regular basis out of him. And Jones can give you that element on a more consistent basis. So it's just pick your poison. Like, which guy what flavor do you want that night? And I think it could be one of those situations where the coaching staff picks, hey, we're playing a faster team tonight. We're going to go with Jones.
Yeah.
We're playing a slower, more physical group. We want Johnson. But you want to get him in there regularly enough that one of those guys, their game doesn't get stale along the way.
I think. Sorry.
No, you go ahead.
I think that's the concern with Jones if he is the 7th and he stays up with the Avs is the amount of reps he's going to get in. But I think you raise a really good point in picking poisons, because it does seem as if Johnson as the poison comes at the expense of his G partner because of his puck moving limitations. And I think last night is an interesting reflection of what can happen when you have a player like Jones who moves the puck well, especially in the game prior to that. You have the back end contributing so much in last night's game, getting goals from Gerard and Taves. Jack Johnson gets assists. And I think it's because when you have someone like Jones who can move the puck so well, you see the versatility in the D-core and the ability to break out pucks and allow them more time then in transition and in the offensive zone. And I don't think that starts and ends with solely Caleb Jones, but I think that's what's been missing with the Johnson-Manson pairing is they are just too limited in what they're able to do together. And Jones unlocks more possibilities for the entirety of the D-core to contribute more offensively. And because they're spending less time in their end, there, I think, are limited mistakes happening in that way as well, that I don't think this is posing some kind of defensive risk for the Avs when they're able to play that style of hockey. I think it's how they're designed to play, and they've just been sort of held back through this point. And I just think Jones unlocks more possibilities for them to play Avalanche hockey the way they're meant to.
I'm on the same page as both of you. What I like, though, what it creates, and I wasn't sure about it. I know AJ when Jones, and I don't remember your thoughts on that one when he was on waivers. And remember, we were like, hopefully they pick him up, you know. Mm-hmm. And because you're a bigger fan of his than I am, in a sense that didn't really watch him the last couple of years, you know. What it does now, though, that he's cleared waivers, and obviously it gives the Avs a little bit of flexibility for a little bit now, for a little while. But I love the word competition, and I'm big on that. I'm big on competition within the lineup. It forces Jack Johnson to play better. It forces Sam Girard or whatever, and Sam's been great. I'm just using names, you know. Forces Manson to play better. It forces them to make decisions and to play a little bit with different things, and I like that. I know coaching staff usually they like veteran players. There's a comfort level, and that's what Jack Johnson is, and that's awesome because it's what he brings to the table for the coaches, is what he brings to the table for his teammates. But we all know there's a lot of meat and potatoes coming up, right, for the schedule, and there's going to be the dog days of the schedule, right? There's some games that are just like, so I like what I see the last couple of games with Malinsky, you know, that played well. After so-so camp, right? We all agreed with it was so-so, you know. Great rookie camp, so-so camp. Now sounds like he's playing well down there, and obviously played well at the NHL level, and in a big game, right? In a game where the Avs had to win, you know. So he played well. And now you got Caleb Jones that's strung a couple games together, where it's no strange to, you know, the lineup being changed a little bit, that the Avs all of a sudden have 2 wins, you know what I mean? And I play great hockey. So I like the fact that there's competition. I like the fact that you can mix and match your lineup on fatigue, on the opponent, like you just said. And I think it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. But there's a lot of hockey left, and there's a lot of games left. So it's kind of nice to see that everybody's contributing. On a different thing, let's move up front a little bit. Right, if you're good with the back.
I wanted to ask you one question.
Yeah.
How realistic is this? Before the Caleb Jones hype train leaves the station, because Jack Johnson, if that's the player we're looking at, is a veteran player and he's respected and liked by Nolan Pratt, is this actually a realistic possibility that Caleb Jones could get in games in Jack Johnson's place?
I think so. I mean, I do believe, because I'm if I understand your question, like, you know, even with the schedule coming up, there'll be some time where, you know, you're an older fellow like Jack. It's trust me, like, it's beneficial to get a day. And I know he's a durable player. Jack's been durable right over his career. That's a tribute that takes care of himself and all that kind of stuff. And he's a horse. He's a big boy, you know. But as you getting older, and the travel and the time zones and the Western Conference, there'll be some times where I do believe it's more beneficial for him to sit than a guy like Caleb Jones. Like you were saying, if it's a different type of opponent, a more, you know, faster team and all that kind of stuff, I think Caleb Jones fits the bill a little bit better at those times. And then again, it all depends on injuries, and you go from there. And there'll be times where both of them are in, like last night.
Yeah, next week we can put that theory to the test because of the Minnesota-Calgary back-to-back where Jack Johnson gets Minnesota, Caleb Jones gets Calgary. You feel like that's kind of an obvious, like it would be cool to see if that's actually how they decided to approach it. But I mean, if Caleb Jones just keeps playing really good hockey.
Again, we're always assuming that that's the case, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're not playing good, then that's just the way it is, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
and
you gotta
like that's the other side of it is that like Caleb Jones has over 200 NHL games played over the last several seasons, but he also has not stuck on some teams that needed defense. You know, Edmonton was comfortable moving on from him. That's been a bugaboo for them for a long time. Chicago last season, it's not like they were flush with guys all of a sudden. Yeah. You know, I know that they've gone with a little bit more of a youth movement this year with Vlasic and Korchinski, but also, you know, going to Carolina, that's a numbers game, but that was a numbers game that he chose, and also he lost. You know, there were 9 guys there, and he went there, and it was going to be hard for him to beat out that very, very deep group. Yeah. Because there are limitations there. It's not like Caleb Jones is so good, so overwhelmingly good as a third pairing defenseman that the only thing holding him back is the Avalanche. Like there is a ceiling on the player. So we've seen 2 good games of him, but I do also, you know, just to be realistic, like there's a reason that these guys are in this position a lot of times, and it's because there's going to be a downside to Caleb Jones. There's going to be an off night.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you hope it's not in Dallas just stuck out there on a long shift against Robertson and Hintz or something. But that does happen. Well, and in Dallas, that's exactly what the Stars are going to be looking for. They're going to be hunting that. So how he holds up in that kind of a matchup will be instructive to how to approach him moving forward. And his fit in Colorado has always been a good one. It's sound.
Yeah.
He has to keep it up. Obviously, it's on him. But I do always want to be at least acknowledge the other side of this, that he is like a 6th guy for, he's a third pairing guy for a reason. For sure. You don't want to get crazy about it. But yeah, that's I just wanted to add that. It's important perspective here. It's not like, I don't want anybody to listen and be like, well, if he's so good, how come the coaching staff just won't play him?
Exactly.
But like,
any clear waivers?
Exactly. Straight up. Like there's 31 teams were like for free.
Yeah. So, but it was nice to see his dad, Popeye Jones, right? Nuggets assistant coach in the stands yesterday. It's fun. It's fun to see the impact of youth hockey in Colorado, right? Because those kids him and his brother were playing youth hockey here back then, growing up. So that's awesome. And then Malinsky got sent back down, and then Jack Akon, you both like him. I have limited viewings on him, but hey, it seems like it's a reward call up, which is nice, and probably won't play. It's more an emergency thing, but hey, we've seen crazier things in life, So, but that's why I wanted to jump up on the forwards there. Did we like the balance? Obviously, the balance was unreal on the score sheet. Let's not kid ourselves. But did we like the way the lines were formulated? You know what I mean? I'll start with Adrian.
Yeah.
It's tough to say no, right? I mean,
no, I did. And honestly, like I know people will point at the Duran, Johansson, Tatar line, but they should have had a goal.
Yeah.
Like Tatar flubs that one. He makes a great move. It's a nice pass from Johansson. Yeah. They should have had a goal too. So for me, last night was, you have a top line. You've chosen to go with the top line. Fine.
I like it.
It's impossible to say that it's ever the wrong decision to go with, here are your 3 best forwards. They are together.
Yeah.
The problem with their forward core this year has been trying to find a home for Drouin and Tatar. But when they had a 4th line that they clearly liked last night, and obviously, like, Olofsson scores, Kiviranta scores, Cogliano scores, you got goals out of every single one of those guys. That's going to be an anomaly. You'd love to get a goal a week from your 4th line, let alone 3 in a game. So, again, coming off of the glow of last night, it is easy to say, the balance is great.
Yeah.
But you have a fourth line that is actual fourth liners in that role doing what they need to do. There's no fish out of water there. There's no Curtis McDermott playing 4 minutes a night. There's no Andre Pavel just getting into it, trying it out, just trying to, getting his feet wet and seeing if it goes well.
Yeah.
There's no Tomas Tatar playing down there, Jonathan Durand playing down there.
Yeah.
Where it's like, this guy's not going to do anything here. That's an actual fourth line that you would go into a competitive game with by choice. If you were healthy, you would be okay with that group. Your third line, it's the same thing. Your third line has turned into a very, very good third line because Megan's favorite player, Logan O'Connor, is playing the best hockey of his career. He's awesome right now.
Oh, he's unreal.
And it's not just offense. You look at the defensive things that he did last night. He changed the game in multiple ways. And that third line has become very, very good. So your bottom six is now, you're feeling really good about your bottom six. You're feeling good about your top line. You're always feeling good about your top line.
Yeah.
It's that second
Whoever
line
it
that
might
you
be,
say,
yeah.
What is this working?
Yeah.
But it was good last night. It should have produced a goal. But I don't know where you can look at that lineup and say this balance is not something that we're happy with right now.
I love the fact that O'Connor is on that line, and that line is so exciting when they get on the ice. They jump on the screen. You know what I mean? Like I'm talking about the bowling ball there, Wood and Colton and him. How do you see their speed? How it affects the game for the Avalanche?
I mean, it allows them opportunities that are really difficult to defend against because the speed gains them a cleaner entry, and then they're going to throw their bodies around once they've arrived. So they're going to control that possession and allows them to establish the zone. And it catches teams off guard because they are as quick as they are all together. And so they can be met with one another in the O-zone because they each have that speed in their bag. And because they're also menacing to play against, it's just a perfect storm of chaos to play opposite of. And I think the energy, too, that they draw from one another is also a strength of that line, and why I think Logan O'Connor has complemented each line he's been on so far, and why he complements that third line is because Colton and Wood are also energy players. And that's just the feel I got of the entire bottom six last night, and why I thought it was a strength of the lineup and allowed players like Drouin and Tatar, who have been still looking for their fit in the lineup, to play more to, I think, what their strengths are. I think they're more skill guys that should be in a top six but have not figured it out just yet. And they were sort of forced into this role because that's what was left over. Like, that bottom six shouldn't have been touched or moved or treated any differently than it was last night. That's what Kiviranta did in Dallas last year, so it's why he was brought back up to do this again for the Avs. And there really wasn't then a place for Tatar or Drouin in that bottom six. And so it forced them to play to what they were brought in to do in the first place and allowed the bottom six to be exactly what they were, and they thrived in their roles. And Logan O'Connor is just, it's like he's found another gear this year. And I know people are skeptical because he always has good starts. Can this keep up? But the ways in which he's contributing are bigger than just scoring contributions, and that's why I do think this could be a really good third line that sticks together.
Well, they're buzzing. I mean, I hate to use that word, but they buzz and they create stuff, and it's fun to watch. I mean, obviously, I'm biased to that. I'm not that I don't like Rantanen and McKinnon. I just feel that guys like that change momentums of games, and I love that. And
just
I was gonna,
for the record, just because O'Connor, we were talking about his points, and he's on a 38-point pace right now, which for $1 million is
awesome. Thumbs up.
It's pretty good. Through 15 games last year, I have to try and do this math quickly. He had 6 points through 15 games last year. And then he had that, it was a glacial, middle of the season.
I remember that, yeah.
And so, to Megan's point of he's had good starts before, he has to obviously keep it up. Mm-hmm. I think him showing on that line, that is a more naturally talented line than what he played on last year next to Cogliano and whoever their center was on any given night. And that brings elevated opportunity for more offense. Where you see the assist that he gets last night, where Wood just through the neutral zone, cross the ice to him, and he just chips it to Colton, and Colton just outraces everybody and then scores. That is where playing with more talent gives you opportunities for points and extra production that he wasn't going to get last season. And so if you're trying to buy stock in Logan O'Connor's, the point pace being somewhat sustainable, 38 would be really good for a third line guy. But if that drops to 30, it's a career year and it's an exceptional value. And he's proven himself to be one of the league's better defensive wingers in the role that he's in over the last 2 seasons. To be able to add that kind of offense would be
awesome. I mean, to skate fast and break plays like he did yesterday on that back check is amazing. But that pass, the play you're talking about when he made that assist there, it was on purpose. That was not lucky. That was on purpose. And that's confidence. If you don't have confidence, you're just throwing that puck down deep and you're chasing it. I mean, that was amazing. It was nice to see. You know, he's gaining some confidence. He's gaining, what is this now, 4th year in the league now, give and take, you know? So he should be like, you know, he's starting to feel like himself and become a leader on this team and to be a little more vocal probably than he has been. And when you make plays like that, it allows you to speak up a little more on the bench and in the locker room, and you feel better about yourself.
I wanted to add to your point about momentum, because he does draw a penalty shorthanded to make that long kill because of the double minor a little bit easier on the team. And that's just one small example of the ways in which Logan O'Connor helps his team at every moment. And the momentum shift too, I don't want to fully give Logan O'Connor specifically credit for the success of the fourth line, but the shifts that the third line takes ahead of the fourth line coming onto the ice does build momentum for the fourth line to have better possession getting onto that ice. And it just is a cyclical thing that just better prepares the fourth line to have a next great shift, because they are beating guys and winning battles along the boards and extending possession for their next crew to come on and just keep play alive in that way. And I do think that is one beneficial thing to depth in general, playing well, because it's then the fourth line that better preps that first line coming back onto the ice and gives their stars a better chance at better ice. And I think it all feeds into each other, and a lot of it, I do think, starts from the momentum and the energy of the third line.
That totality of their speed and their energy and all that draws the first penalty last night. When your third line is drawing penalties, that gives you a fresh first line to start a power play. And it's those little things in the game that build towards wins. So I think LOC has kind of made the Wood-Colton duo, he's like unlocked them. Because Tatar and Duran there were like, okay, you could kind of see it.
Yeah.
But they weren't like natural fits there. There were things that you could like about them, and we saw, especially with Duran, we saw some really good shifts.
Yes.
With that group. But with LOC, you're like, these three are chaos monsters that are just going to unleash hell every single night. And LOC impacting games in multiple ways. He draws that penalty, but he gets back on multiple back checks that break up odd man rushes for the Ducks. He's the guy that tips a puck or takes a puck away, whatever. Then you add in scoring. Then you add in all the and it's just like, obviously last night is one of the best games that we will see from him all year, but it's not so abnormal from what he does every single night that you feel like we aren't going to get that again. Like with Kiviranta, you're like, that's as good as it will be from him. That's okay, because like it's 3 points in a single game
in 9 minutes.
Right, exactly. Like it's, but with LOC, it wasn't so good that you can't see it happening most nights. 4 out of every 5 games, you're going to get 80% of that, where the last 20 might just be the production.
And he had 3 shorthanded goals, 10 days ago in 3 games. That's how good he's been.
Scored some 5v5 goals.
Yeah, come on, man. All right. Well, I think goaltending was good too. I mean, at the end of the day, Georgie, he did what he had to do. There's 2 goals. There's nothing he could have done. Didn't give up a lot of quality chances. And when the Avs play that way, they control the game, they control the puck. You don't give up a lot. Therefore, your goaltender just needs to do what he has to do, and he did. There's a little time. You talked about it last night in the second period where, he was up to the standard, and he had to make a couple saves, and he made them, and the game didn't change. It just kind of kept its course, and it was too little too late for the Ducks. All right. So our show is brought to you by High Plains Strains. High Plains Strains provides top quality cannabis and a wide variety of products. Check them out for your needs, including infused edibles, high potency concentrates, and some of the best flower in the state. There are 3 High Plains Strains locations in Colorado: Log Lane Village, Garden City, and Sedgwick. So if you're in northeastern Colorado, they're the dispensary for you. Use code DNVR online or mention DNVR in stores now through Green Friday to get half ounce for $45, a full ounce for $80. I'm going to use my friend here, AJ, for my Latin word there.
Veritas.
Veritas, 1/8 for $25 and more. See, it's Latin, which means?
Truth.
Truth. There you go. We're also brought to you by Bet365. At Bet365, we don't do ordinary. We believe that every sport should be epic. Every touchdown, every game, every point, every play. From the moments that are legendary to the ones that fly under the radar. Get a better price on chosen markets for select games with Bet365 Boosts or Bet365 Super Boosts. You can even get in our own very own custom bet. Keep an eye out each week for new bets on bet365.com. Ride with DNVR and place your bets using code DNVR365 and sign up. Must be 21 plus and physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER, 1-800-GAMBLER. Second period of the DNVR Avalanche show. I think we can touch up a little bit on, Meghan and I have been gone to Toronto for the last few days and obviously came back 48 hours ago for the Hockey Hall of Fame. It was awesome, magical 4 or 5 days. It was great. Obviously, for 2 Avalanche members, one being my father, Pierre Lacroix, and then, albeit a small part of his career, Pierre Turgeon, an unbelievable career, but finished his career here and obviously made Colorado his home for so many years and still has a place in Vail. So he is a Colorado Avalanche member, and what a good human being. It was great to have those 2 guys inducted with Tom Barrasso, Mike Vernon, the year of the goalies, right? Henrik Lundqvist and Ken Hitchcock and Caroline Ouellette. It was a fun couple days. And what stood out to you the most, Megan, to tell people out there of what we were up to?
Wow. It's hard. I am a talker.
You got 30 seconds.
Yeah. I need to try and keep this brief.
Just kidding.
But
yeah.
the original goal was to talk to a lot of different people whose lives have been touched by your father in some way. And we did exactly that, but it exceeded expectations very quickly. The people that we talked to and the number of people who were impacted by your dad a variety of different ways, as a GM, as a player agent, as a colleague, just in so many different ways, it became clear that RG said he belongs in the Hall of Fame of human beings.
Oh, good.
He doesn't just belong in the Hockey Hall of Fame, but the Hall of Fame of human beings. And this is shown in the people that took the time out of their day, Hall of Famers, to sit in chairs and talk about how Pierre helped them along the way, how he got them starts in their career, how he helped get them on Hall of Fame tracks. And that's no small feat. And, there were emotions. There were some tears involved on the other end. He just really touched so many people. And that's what we were there to try and capture, is that variety of perspectives. And RG is very busy editing a lot of this content. So I'm excited for you guys to start seeing from some of the people that we had the chance to talk to. But Pierre Turgeon and Coco sitting down and talking with us together was actually such a perfect pairing. And he had one of the best speeches from the ceremony, in my opinion, next to Max's. But I thought that moment on the couch when he was talking with Coco was the best of all. I think it was just really beautiful to hear how, since he was 11 or 12 years old, he's been a part of the Lacroix family in some way.
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, AJ would have been missed you. I mean, there was We had some good food, and I know you're a foodie like me, so we could have gone to a couple of my different spots. We made Meghan try poutine and smoked meat sandwiches.
Did you like it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was saying, if the Avs will start playing better, I'm going to stay here and cover the Leafs.
It was fun to see a lot of guys and friends and family and uncles and aunts, but it was fun to see some hockey too. You know, we were lucky enough to have 2 NHL games there. It was fun to see the Leafs and the Flames, and then to see the Canucks that are absolutely on the heater right now. But they got
It was a weird game.
kicked
It's
against
an anomaly.
Toronto. Yeah.
They started better too.
They started better.
The wheels fell off.
Yeah, it was fun, but it was fun to patrol the lobby and to see all those guys and to see them vulnerable with their families. And what stood out to me is how humble a lot of those guys are, and it was kind of nice to see that. And I mean, it's fun because everyone's there, from Gary Bettman to everyone. You know, I was most nervous because my oldest had to give the speech. Thank God, because I wouldn't be able to do it. So, but it was kind of. Yeah, but when it was over, it was awesome because he nailed it, and it was fun to see, and it was a great tribute to his grandpa. But everybody was really nervous at TSN, thinking that he's gonna, you know what I mean? He was gonna fumble, and then it's rare we see a teenager, you know, like they said they've never seen it. So maybe it's
the best one.
Crushed it.
Yeah, no, and he did. He nailed it, and it was funny because he was all pumped about it. He had his earbuds in before, and he was like, you know, like. Listen to his music like a game day, you know what I mean? And it was fun. It was fun. As a dad, it's not fun. It's because you get nervous and you're like, oh boy, this is going to be awful. Like, what if it's awful? You know, but no, it was fun. Like I said, it was a great honor. It was fun. There's some great footage. It was great talking to all those hockey people. It was refreshing, and it's rare that you see everybody in the small, like, corner of the downtown and between 3-4 hotels where everyone is just connected somehow. And I can't wait to see it. You know, can't wait to see everything and all the footage from Charlie Lyons, you know, the original owner of the Avalanche.
He was awesome.
He was awesome to everyone, right? I mean, our old friend Footy, we got him at the rink because they were playing, and you know, it was good. We got a lot of people, so looking forward to it. It was nice to DNVR to send Meghan and RG, and it was great to have them around, and they were part of the family for a few days, and
it felt like
we had a really nice star-studded dinner Sunday night. It was good, and Meghan got to eat with Peter Forsberg, and she was
he
happy.
sat by me at dinner.
Yes, so that was good, you know. So all in all, fun time. Can't wait to see everything. So we just wanted to touch up on it a little bit.
Yeah, it was awesome.
How about we talk about a little bit what's coming up here with the Avalanche, with obviously a travel day tomorrow to Dallas after a practice at Family Sports. But what do we expect Saturday against Dallas and then Monday against Nashville?
I mean, if recent history is anything to suggest, the Avs have lost on Saturday the last 2 weeks, 15-2. And they're in Dallas, which is their current house of horrors. So Pete DeBoer's kind of run Jared Bednar in their head-to-heads over the years. So it's, you know, my expectations aren't super high. That said, I'm excited to see it. I want to see how it goes. Dallas's top line has just kind of been okay to start this year. Their depth has picked it up and played pretty well. Jake Ottinger's pretty good. I want to see a good game out of Georgiev. It's time, you know. Not that the last couple of games have been bad. If they haven't been,
No.
But you do want to see him in a big situation against a team like a team of that caliber. You want to see him have a big game, and I talked about this a little bit last night, but winning tomorrow, that puts you on a winning streak. That's 3 in a row. That's obviously always good. But when you look at the schedule over the next, their next 5 or 6 games, this and then the Vancouver game
Wednesday
are the 2 games that you're looking at saying, because the Canucks are where they are right now. could be, those are probably your two, just on paper, your two toughest games right now over the next couple of weeks. And if you win that, it's, you feel good about it. Like you feel you're set up for one of those maybe 5, 6, 7 game winning streaks, or winning a 5 of 7 kind of streak. It puts you in such good position. Obviously, it keeps you closer to Dallas in the standings. That's always good. So it's a big game, and the guy that I'm most excited to see is Georgiev. I want to see him head to head against Jake Oettinger. We said at the beginning of the year, over the next 5 years, looking at these two rosters next to each other, you have to feel good about the Avs, but where people would say that they have the advantage is that Oettinger is probably ascending into the elite, but we said that come opening night of this year, they were probably on the same level. Georgiev started insanely hot, and then struggled for a couple of weeks. You mentioned it earlier. Last night's game, he gives up 2 goals. Like, come on. You watch those goals, and it's, what do you want the guy to do? But he's given up 3 goals in 2 games.
Yeah.
They've won both games. You'd want to see him. You would want to see him win a close game, a tight fought, a real war of a game. And so that's what I'm looking for on Saturday. Is I expect it to be closer. This back and forth blowout, getting blown out. It's not going to continue forever. They need to find a middle ground. They need to get into a war, and I think Dallas is it's as good an opportunity as any to have one of those kinds of games.
Oh yeah, I love that when you get into a fight like that. Like I was gonna say, you took the words out of my mouth. For me, it's Georgiev versus Oettinger. That's what I'm looking for. I've said it again. I'll say it again. I've said it all along. Georgiev is a top 10 goalie in the league. I think he needs to show it, like he did the first 10 games. I agree with you. But it's a challenge you give yourself. I'm going to go against Oettinger. Oettinger's a good goalie. My team needs me. I'm on the road. If I can give them an opportunity to win, we have the team to do so. And like you said, now it's 3 in a row. Now that's a winning streak. Now you're coming home. You go to Nashville. And on paper, as a team, you should beat, right? And then
they've won a bunch of games in Nashville the last few years. So it's kind of like coming home.
That's then you come home Wednesday against Vancouver. So Meghan, if you're a fan of the Avalanche, are you looking for Makar versus Heiskanen and things like that? And what about the depth of their lines versus the depth that we found last night with those 4 lines?
It's interesting because I'm only mildly concerned about Cale Makar's hand.
Yeah.
I think it's probably sore, so I don't know if we're even seeing Cale Makar at 80% because I feel like he's been probably at not 100% through this point anyways. And then knowing that he's fine but still getting a little bit evaluated, it's like, okay, I don't know if I'm looking at Heiskanen and Makar matchup totally because I'm giving Makar some allowances. But I am looking at the depth, one, because it's sort of a revenge game for Olofsson and Kiviranta. Like, I hope that Kiviranta is particularly motivated, and after the success of the bottom 6 in this last game, they have to continue to build off of that. But it's also a reality that they don't have Artturi Lehkonen. And so the top 6, they did some good things these last couple games. It's important then for Mikko Rantanen, Nathan MacKinnon to have good nights because this is a good top 6 on a hot Dallas team that's won their last 4 games. Yeah. It's not Anaheim coming on the second leg of a back-to-back with a rookie goaltender in net. It's an excellent goaltender in Oettinger that it's maybe a cop-out answer to say I'm kind of looking at everybody because Dallas is the team to beat. I'm looking at how they match up in every area then. Goaltending, D, top of the lineup, bottom of the lineup. I want to see how the Avs depth holds up, but I also want to see if the stars show out. The top stars for the Avs specifically. Not the Dallas Stars. But yeah, it's a measuring stick game. I know we've talked about that a lot, but that's exactly what Dallas is. They're the competition in the division, in the West, and they're doing well right now. So even without Artturi Lehkonen, I want to see what the Avs, as currently constructed, are made of.
What I like is Dallas by then will have played their last game Tuesday, and I think the Avalanche Wednesday. So you're talking about 2 rested team. I like that. I'm not taking anything away from the Avs win last night. The schedule is the schedule. Rudo says it all the time. You can only play the game that's on the schedule, but I like the fact that both teams will have 1, 2, and 1, 3 days off. And that's why I hate at the end of the year when you're looking at a playoff matchup and people are like, oh, they were 3-1 this year, but you got to look at the quality of the games.
Useless.
I never look at that. I'm always telling my neighbors and my friends, I'm like, oh my God, 3 times they played them was 3-4 in 3 different time zones, and the other team had been rested at home for 3. I mean, you can't look at it that way, good or bad, So I'm excited to see that game. I think it will be fun to see, and Dallas will want to show too that, hey, they're for real too, and everybody talks about Vegas, Colorado. Don't forget about us, and that's gonna be one of those games. And Saturday night will be fun. And is it regular start over there 7, right? So 6 here. So yeah, that'll be fun. We'll
God.
be. Well, yeah. Thank God for us. It's not those later games. And then you move on to Nashville, right? That we talked about. Good old friend Ryan O'Reilly played his 1,000 game last week, so that's kind of exciting. And like him or not, he's an ex-Avalanche. That's a great kid. So I personally like him. I think he's awesome, and he's one of my all-time favorites. So it was kind of neat to see that. And then these guys don't. I saw Barry Trotz actually in Toronto and David Poyle, and so it was funny to ask Barry Trotz, so how you adjusting to not being a coach? And he's like, oh man, I got to learn to be patient, because as a coach, it's like you just go, and you got to win right now in the shift. And as a manager, he goes, I'm not used to it. He goes, thank God David's around to help me with that. But I thought it was a cool answer. And
to be like, you're 5-9, do not trade everybody yet. You just give it some time.
He's such a nice man.
Barry Trotz.
He's awesome. Such a good man. And then, we were just talking for a few minutes, and I just asked him. I just thought about it. I'm like, well, what's it like not to coach him? I mean, when you're a coach, you're a coach. I mean, what was he, 25 something years in this league, like at least. And it's like, he's like, yeah, it's hard. It's hard. He goes, I got to calm down. So anyway, it'll be interesting to see the obviously the Nashville Predators there, and one game at a time. But that's kind of what's ahead for the Avalanche. And we will move on here for a second.
Fun week of games too.
Yes, I like that.
You get a couple. You get some division games. You always care a little bit more about the Central Division games, and to get a couple of those in a row will be nice. And you have Minnesota next week, is at the end of next week.
Yeah,
I'm just excited for the upcoming, because they spent so much time playing like Eastern teams early in the season. Where you're like, cool, getting it out of the way. It's out of the way, and all of the entire Seattle series is now done. So no more Kraken. And until next season, yeah, right, done. So I'm just excited to start to see some Central Division. Like, let's string in a few of them in a small time period, because I like those division games. Are fun.
Well, I'm getting hungry, and we are brought to you by Snarfs. I love Snarfs. Snarfs has been serving up hot toasted sandwiches in Colorado since 1996. The first location was in Boulder and was affectionately known as The Shack. It is a damn good sandwich. Perfect bread, cheese, meat ratio, great ingredients, and they cater. In addition to sandwiches, we have hearty salads, sides, and desserts, and plenty of vegetarian options. Personally, I like the roast beef. That's what I've been getting every time that we had those late games last few weeks, man. So it's fun to pick up some Snarfs and
have to do that again.
Bring those in, and we'll do that again. Maybe tomorrow night's a Snarfs night. Actually, that kind of not tomorrow night. Saturday night. Saturday night's a Snarfs night. So we're gonna make it a Snarfs night Saturday night.
I'm so excited.
Done deal.
I also love
Put in
roast
your
beef.
orders, Tiff. Put in your order. Saturday night Snarf.
I change my order every time because Snarfs is that good that I haven't had any repeats.
Grab yourself a sandwich today and support Snarf's gift a meal program on the Snarfs app. Love those pickles too. Those are awesome. Also brought to you by MSU Denver. Excellence awaits you at MSU Denver. Tiff knows all about it. Find your future, achieve your goals with an affordable education. Degrees from business to hospitality, aviation to the arts, education to healthcare. Start or restart your college education at MSU Denver. Spring 2024 applications are open. Create your career and turn your dreams into reality at MSU Denver. Get hands-on experience where you can choose from 90-plus majors and 10 graduate programs with courses online, in person, or both. Learn more at msudenver.edu.
Go Roadrunners.
There you go. Go Roadrunners. Third period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. I thought we'd go a little bit of last night. Not the Avalanche, but one of my new teams that again, I'm biased because of our friend Adam Foote and Rick Talk at Vancouver. I'm pretty impressed. Now it's a small sample, but it's not 2-3 games. You're talking about 15 games now, and it's starting to feel real. It is. I mean, to me, this Quinn Hughes yesterday, we were counting Makar's points, right? And next thing you know, he ended up with what, 4 Hughes?
3.
3?
Yeah.
Okay, he's like, all right, the other one, Makar got 3, I'm going to get 3. And I don't know if you saw the overtime one. It was pretty special where he jumps up in the hole there and puts Bo Horvat to sleep. Maybe that's his friend. And
Not anymore.
Not anymore because he made him look bad. But what a play by Miller. And I was looking at this, why I want to bring this up is, first of all, how do you say his last name? Philip Hronek?
Oh, yeah, Hronek.
The shot.
I don't know if you guys saw that shot. Like, I had to rewind it last night when I got home. Like, I got to see this again. It was 107.9. It was the hardest recorded shot in the history of the league. And the goalie has no chance.
Just casually.
He just guns it. It's in the back of the net. And then the goalie hasn't moved. He still doesn't know what's going on. I mean, I've never seen a shot that hard. It was a bullet.
Yeah.
It was an absolute missile. But what I'm trying to say here, though, is, hold on, I got to look at my cheat sheets here. What I looked at is, if you're looking at the NHL point leaders right now, you got Quinn Hughes, JT Miller, and Elias Pettersson. I mean, I'm not comparing, but I am. Quinn being Makar, right? JT Miller being Mikko Rantanen. I'd take Mikko any day. I'm just saying. And then Elias Pettersson being Nate McKinnon. What I'm trying to say is, those 3 have been elite. You know what I mean? And our 3 have been elite because we're so biased to them, and we love them, and we're so lucky to have elite players like that night in and night out. But if you look at this, it kind of jumps at you. There's a reason why that team's playing well. I mean, I don't know if they're going to be able to sustain it. I know that's where you're going to go, but all I'm saying is after 15 games or whatever it is that they've played, it's pretty impressive.
It is really
impressive. Go.
It is really impressive. And I think the resurgence of a healthy Thatcher Demko has been really helpful for them too. But in having had the chance to talk very briefly with Talkett and Foote, I really think there's a culture reset. And I feel bad for the way things happened with Vancouver and their coach last year. But Talkett is a breath of fresh air. And I think that this is a well-led group. The only thing that I think Quinn Hughes is fantastic. I think that Foote coming in and working with that D group on the whole too has really brought about more consistency. I think the only concern is like looking at someone like JT Miller alongside a Mikko Rantanen comparison. I don't trust JT Miller. I think there's something about him that's a little volatile. And I don't know what that looks like over the course of an 82 season. Like the highs, he rides the highs very well, but how does he handle the lows? And that's where I'm just curious to see then from an attitudinal and a cultural perspective, how this Vancouver group handles the lows of a season, because they have been riding on significant highs through this point, and there are going to be inevitable dips in their play. And I just want to see then what the maturity level is like from that group once it's tested.
I'm waiting for AJ's PDO.
I mean, it's high.
I thought about this when I was in Toronto. I was looking at them and I said, I almost actually tweeted something so cocky about like PDO Schmedio, because I thought Vancouver looked dominant against the Leafs in that first period and then they lost. But I'm really glad I didn't. I'll throw it to the actual PDO expert.
That's you. The only PDO expert in the world is that would be God, because that's the only one who decides these things. They have an 11.5 shooting percentage as a team at 5v5. That's not going to continue. I think maybe the stat that I would point to the most that says this is wildly out of control statistically, they have a 46% high danger chances for percentage. So they give up more high danger chances than they generate. The actual high danger chance goals, they have a 23-9 advantage. Despite the fact that they give up more of them than they generate, they are plus 14 through 15 games. No, it's not real. And that's not to say that those aren't good players. That's not to say that that can't continue. JT Miller is one of the 10 highest point scorers over the last 4 seasons combined. Mm-hmm. It's been heavily power play driven.
Yeah.
Quinn Hughes is obviously having an exceptional start to the season. Pettersson had a borderline Hart Trophy case last season. Like, he was phenomenal. That's never been Vancouver's problem, is those guys have never been the issue. They're great. They're still great. All these percentages that are going in their favor that we can all look at and say, this is just not real. This isn't going to continue. First of all, every year there's one team that makes no sense and just gets away with it for the whole regular season. We saw this back in everybody's favorite example, the 13-14 Avs.
Craig Anderson.
That was Varley. That was
sorry.
That was the 09-10 Avs.
No, 09-10. Sorry.
Which was the same thing.
Same thing, yeah.
Both of those teams had no business. The difference being one of them was an 8th seed and the other one won their division.
Yeah.
It just happens sometimes. The 14-15 Flames, same thing. That was a team that made no sense, had no business being where it was, and as soon as the postseason started, they got dismissed. Yeah. The postseason is an entirely different animal. So when you do look at Vancouver, you are saying, look, this just won't continue. It just won't. These things are way too far out of line. That isn't to say that they won't play good hockey. That isn't to say that they can't put good stretches together. They've put themselves in such a fantastic position, especially in a bad Pacific Division, that they could play 500 hockey the rest of the way and probably still make the postseason. Like, they're in a great position. They're probably going to make the postseason. It would take a total collapse for that, especially in that division, for that to not happen. So I'm just saying it will not continue to the level that it is. I don't know what it looks like. Does it go from winning 8 out of every 10 to 6 out of every 10? It would take for them to miss the postseason, it would take them going to winning 4 out of every 10, 3 out of every 10 for 20 or 30 games. Like, they're in a great spot right now. They're a fun story.
Yeah.
They needed adults in the room. It has been wildly out of whack the last couple of years. And certainly the one thing that Rick Tocchet has built his coaching career on is that his players adore him.
He's the best.
You could even feel it. I used to, when the Avs absolutely bodied the Coyotes in that playoff series, the bubble, a couple of years ago. I loved watching Tocchet's pressers. He's interesting to listen to him talk about the game. I just think the way that he views it resonates with players. It resonated with me. I grew to really, really like and appreciate him just from a media standpoint. Whew. The X's and O's of it have always been lacking for me. In-game adjustments haven't been great, but that's why you have assistants. Head coaches, you don't need to do a ton of the X's and O's all the time. You need to be more of a people manager to be successful than anything else. I am not trusting in that part of it. Just having looked at his head coaching career, as limited as it may be. But those guys play hard for him. And when you have that kind of high-end talent, they have underachieved for years.
Yeah.
Now they're overachieving a little bit. Cool. They will come back to earth. I don't know that they're going to come like crashing back to earth, but they will calm down. And they're not the combination of extremely unsustainable offensive scoring and extremely unsustainable elite goaltending doesn't continue for anybody. It eventually runs out on everyone who experiences it. It's just the game is just too hard. The league is too good for a team to be that dominant. And it's not Quinn Hughes that I'm not buying into. It's Philip Hronek.
Yeah.
You know, it's the guys beyond the guys that I'm saying I want to see it over the course of 82. I can buy that we're about to see the Canucks take over at the top of the scoring leaderboard this year. Great. I can buy that. Those guys are all fantastic players. It's the other stuff. It's the fact that we've seen them get outshot 15-4 and be winning 3-1 at the start of a game. You know, that's the stuff that I'm saying this just won't continue. And I'll leave the playoff stuff for another day because the playoffs come calling for everybody. Every one of these teams, nobody ever wins the Stanley Cup playing like this. It just does not happen. So I'm excited to see it continue. They're fun. They are one of those teams that you do tune into on a nightly basis right now. I'm excited for that Avs game against them next week. I want to see they've become an early season measuring stick when you play like that.
I like the fact that Quinn Hughes is thriving. I think it's just good for Avs fans because that means Makar is going to be thriving. You know what I mean? I don't care what people say.
Iron sharpens iron.
It does. It does. And then I saw a tweet yesterday. I was dying. Somebody said they were a little worried about McKinnon. He stick handles a couple times. Then like he gives the puck to the team. He has zero confidence. And then Avalanche forever answered. Nathan McKinnon has 11 points in his last 5 games. He's doing just fine. So I love the fact that this is where we're at as a city where the expectations are so high. We don't even realize that McKinnon's got 11 points in 5 games. And
we're 20 points in 15 games this season, and that includes them being shut out 3 times.
And we were saying he hasn't played that good. I love it. I think that's great, and he thrives in it. But if you're going back to you just talked about crashing. You said Vancouver is going to crash. Well,
I said they're going to come back to earth a little bit.
And they might crash. And if they crash, they might need to call Backus and Shanker, because, call Backus and Shanker at 222-2222 today for a free consultation when you get hurt. Hopefully no one gets hurt. And then Backus and Shanker is here to help.
It's always the city of Vancouver that gets hurt the worst.
Backus and Shanker helps with all kinds of injury cases where you weren't at fault. Car accidents, motorcycle, rideshare, pedestrians, trucks. We can even help if you're injured at work. There's no upfront fee to speak with us about your case. No fee while we work on your case. No fee unless we win your case and win money for you. Call the 2 number to find out if you have a case for free. Backus and Shanker wins. Backus and Shanker. If the Vancouver Canucks crash, they will need to call them. We're also brought to you by Shady Rays. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company that offers a world-class product that's just as good as any expensive pair we've worn. Durable frames and extremely clear optics for outdoor adventures. Every pair of sunglasses is backed by lost and broken replacements. What that means is if you lose or break your pair in the first 30 days, they will send you a brand new pair, no questions asked, for free. Exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Go to shadyrays.com and use the code DNVR for 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 250,000 people.
So many 5-star ratings.
That's awesome. DNVR use the code DNVR for 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized sunglasses. On a final note there, I just want to bring this up. Bill Daly today was in Stockholm. As we know, 4 teams are in Stockholm, Sweden, right? There's Leafs, Ottawa, Detroit, Minnesota. Correct? There's 4 games, right? 2 games.
Sure.
Yeah, there is. I mean, the Global
right.
Series.
I
right?
believe you.
Yeah. If you see the score sheet right now, that's why there's a game that was played a few hours ago.
Yeah, that's
on
why
a Thursday.
Ottawa just won on a buzzer beater in overtime.
Did they? Did they come back?
I
say they lost the lead. Now
Tim Stützle home run swinged a puck into the net with about less than a second left in OT.
Oh, that's tough. You go all the way there, like
Suck it, Detroit.
To lose like that. Well, okay, that's fine then if it's Detroit. But anyway, Bill Daly today, the assistant to Gary Bettman, they're talking about centralizing the draft, right? I mean, they said that it's going to hold a more traditional draft in 2024, correct, in Vegas. And then they're going to transition to a decentralized version in 2025, which has never been done before. And I think that is crap. I don't know if you guys have thoughts on that, but I'll tell you my thought after.
Feel free. Start us off.
I'll start you off. I think it's the best. The NHL draft is awesome. At the end of the day, you still have to fly all your staff in. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure where the big difference is. You have to fly your staff because if you take the Avalanche staff, so all of a sudden, none of the pro scouts live here. A lot of the amateur scouts, they all don't live here. So you're all flying in to be here in your war room, whether at Ball Arena or Family Sports, whatever it is. You're still flying people in. You're still putting up at the hotel. You're still dealing with per diem. I'm not sure where they're saving money or because, and it was like, I guess the vote was like almost unanimous to do it. And I'll give you a personal experience. For me, I think the draft is awesome. I grew up, my dad being an agent, and since age 5, 6, 7, I was always at the draft. It was awesome. It was a great way to go there and look at the parents and the family members and the players, and it was so awesome. And it was so great to see the emotions, and it was so great to see the bad emotions to the kids that didn't get drafted, which that's a different pod. Why are you going to the draft if you're not going to get drafted? Not a sure bet to get drafted. That's just the worst experience you could ever imagine. But my experience is I went to the draft, and my dad was an agent. So we were actually the draft was in Vancouver. We were going there on a family trip. Just graduated high school, and then we were going to California as a family. My brother was in college, and it was our last, trip as a family. We're going to go to California, and we're going to go see the land of the stars and the movies, and it was so exciting. And we were so pumped. So we were on the plane from Montreal to Vancouver, and back then the Hockey News, Colleen, was the only way to get like anything. We didn't have cell phones. We didn't have all that stuff, right? So my dad was representing a guy named Carl Dykhouse. That was going to be a first rounder. He went to Chicago, first round, and then he got up on the plane. Then he looked at me and he goes, Central Scouting List. He goes, "Is that you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure enough, that's me." You know what I mean? Like I was like, "Whoa, what the hell is that?" You know what I mean? So back then there was only 23 teams, I think. So I was rated in the 7th round or 8th round or 6th round or something like that. And I was like, oh my God. So we went to Vancouver. We're just there because my dad's an agent. So we're there as a family. We're waiting. And my high school buddy, same thing. His dad was working. And so was my brother there. So we all ended up there. And we all said, well, let's go buy a suit. You know what I mean? Because we showed up with sweats. And we were going to California. We're beach shorts. And so we all went and bought a suit. Like my mom took us across the street. We bought some suits and those terrible suits, just the cheapest suits in the world. And my brother, myself and my buddy, we went there, and I kid you not, in the 7th round, and I went to prep school. It's called Governor Dummer Academy, GDA, in Boston. And all of a sudden, in the 7th round, New York Islanders select from Governor Dummer. And I'm on the concourse with my roommate. And we thought we were the 2 best players, you know what I mean? And so you hear that on the loss, your heart stopped, you know what I mean? I'm like, oh my God, it's you and I, and they say, Mike Gilbert. And we're like, what? Gilly? It was awesome. No, but I'm not giving it to you. He texted me Gilly yesterday. And we were both laughing. We both looked at each other. And we were like, what? And it was so awesome. So we ran to the payphone. We're like, oh my God, Gilly, you just got drafted. Like, he's our good buddy. Like, he texted me 2 days ago. He was a baseball player. Ended up going to UNA. He was a better baseball player, but I'm not putting down Gilly. But it was so incredible, the rush. And what I'm trying to say is when you're there live at those events, that's what I'm trying to say. You take that away. And then the next pick, Toronto Maple Leafs select from Governor Dummer Academy. And I'm like, no way. Buddy, I got 2 hot dogs right here. I got mustard right here. And I'm like, and then they said my name. And I'm like, huh, oh my God. And it was at the BC place, the football stadium. I ran down the stairs, man. I was like, I jumped over the boards. They gave me my jersey. This 7th round, there's no one left in the stands. You know what I mean? We had 12 rounds back then because there was less teams, but it was incredible. What an incredible moment. And that's why I'm saying you take those moments away right now. It's a little different. It's everything is, hey, hello, you've been selected by the Toronto Maple Leafs and hope to see you at development camp in a week. Okay. Well, they'll send you an email. Bye-bye. Congrats again. It's a little different. You know, for me, it was, like I said, the mustard was right here. The hot dog, I hadn't swallowed it yet. And I was so pumped, you know what I mean? And I just think you're taking the human element away. And I just hate to see that.
Yeah.
And for whatever the reasons are, again, I'm not in the Board of Governors meetings, but I just thought it was take 2 seconds to, you know, and again, that's me. That's just a stupid story. But you can imagine all the other people, like over the years. I just feel that you're taking something away that's been so awesome for the last, whatever it is, 30, 40, 50 years, you know, where it's been great.
I remember when I was, oddly enough, in Vancouver to cover the 2019 draft, and I don't remember who it was. It was in the 6th round, and some kid got drafted, and it was like the entire town that he grew up in was there.
Unbelievable.
It was like 50 people stood up and started freaking out.
Yes.
And it was like, it's not just a great moment for him. That's a great moment for everybody that was a part of it along the way. They were all so happy for him and so excited. And, you know, we know the majority of those guys won't ever even get close to the NHL, but it doesn't matter. Like, that's such a huge accomplishment to be like, hey, I got drafted by an NHL team. And for money to be that driving, and I understand it's the world we live in. Money is the deciding factor in everything around us. But to see those kinds of moments really made the NHL draft feel special in its own way, different from the NFL draft, the NBA draft, where, the first round picks are in green rooms and they come up and they do the whole whatever. But you know, MLB is the same thing. But then you see all the other rounds, those guys just they're having parties at their house or whatever, and that's fine too. Like that's not a bad time.
No, I know.
But it's such a different thing for those kids. And I always love that element of it, of seeing those guys come out of the stands. They've been waiting they've been waiting for 150 picks. And then their name gets called. They come out of the stands, and next thing you know, they are standing at the team table. They've got the jersey, and they're about to go do a quick presser. They get the spotlight is on them. They get to live in that instead of, oh, hey, we drafted you. Fly to Denver with the entire class. We'll introduce you to the media as a group, and then everybody will break out. They'll stand around the locker room and have individual conversations, whatever. It's obviously still cool, and it's still a huge honor, but it removes the people that I think it harms is the kids. It's the kids that get drafted and their families, and what an amazing experience that is. You know, it didn't obviously work out, but Martin Kaut got drafted and spent the rest of the day walking around that arena with his Avalanche jersey on, hugging every other drafted player that he saw and saying congratulations. Because he knew 20 words in English, and he used all 20 of them in every conversation that he could have with every other kid that he saw that got drafted. That camaraderie and that bond and how happy they are. It's just such a cool experience for everybody, and to see it go away really, 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 really disappoints me.
Because I jumped over that railing and I went and shook their hands. And part of why I became an NHL player was I shook those guys' hands, and that kind of made me realize that they're like, holy cow, I don't want to disappoint these guys. You know what I mean? So I shook their hands and I'm like, I'm going to show them they were right. You know what I mean? And that's when you get traded later, you get so offended because you're like, oh my God, you know what I mean? Like, I gave them everything I had. They gassed me. Such a rejection feeling. But no, it was awesome. And then, you know, to finish that story, my buddy, my roommate, he ended up being drafted by Toronto as well in the 12th round. So we thought we were the cats, you know, meow, walking around the city that night with our jerseys. And it was so fun. And it was great. And then my brother ended up going to New York Islanders too. So it was kind of a fun time, and we were all excited. So again, just a little thought on that. I mean, everybody's got their 2 cents, but that's my 2 cents. But they didn't ask me for a vote, so you know, we didn't get to vote.
Then I didn't get to go to my first draft until this summer, but I remember watching the draft as a hockey fan and getting emotional in the sentiment of what it means to these young men. And I think it's like what you guys are saying. They deserve the opportunity to be paraded around in front of their peers because it's an incredible accomplishment. And they deserve also to have an audience that is made up of the entire NHL. You know, it's not just an accomplishment in the eyes of the team that drafts them, but all of the teams. And I think that's something that front office staff represented by every team should bear witness to, and all of the other young men that are there having this happen themselves. I think the individuality is a part that people cry out more in this sport. They want to see the individuals. They want to see the personalities and celebrate the individual and unique players. And I think this takes away from that a little bit. And this is already an outstanding criticism of the NHL not marketing itself in the best way. Yeah. And I think that's just going to drive that a little bit further in a way that doesn't help to grow the game and the interest in it. Because I remember as a fan tuning in to watch the draft on TV, and there's just something about day 2 where it thins out and you can hear the families screaming from the stands when their player's name gets called, because those, you know, it's a lot quieter in that room. And I think it's not really right to strip anyone of that moment.
And from a viewing experience, the worst version of the NHL draft was the COVID one where they did it remotely.
Yeah.
That's my point. I agree.
Day 2, you experienced it this year. Day 2 is a whirlwind.
It's
it goes.
Oh, day 2's
Day 2 starts. They make the first pick, and you're like, all right, cool. Here we go. You fast forward 90 minutes. You're in the 4th round, and you're like, oh my God, I've talked to 3 guys already. This is ridiculous. Yeah. And it's just, it never ends.
I know.
And then it's just like, it's so fast. It's so chaotic, and it's so much fun. But it's over in like 3 hours. Like, they go through rounds 2 through 7. They just fly through them, 3 or 4 hours. I remember the first draft I covered in Chicago in 2017. Worst luck ever, by the way. I get there. The only players who are there that the Avs draft that are in attendance are Makar and Timmins.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
The first pick of the 4th pick overall and the first pick of the 2nd round. Not a single guy that they drafted the rest of the time was there. And so I just sat there in the riser all day. And I remember I was doing my writing. They're tearing it down. It's 1 p.m. I have a 5 o'clock flight, and they're tearing the whole thing down. And they're like, everybody got to get out. Because they just turn it around. It's done. It's gone. That remote one, horrible viewing experience. It was horrible. It took like 6 hours that day to do day 2. It's just not, it's a bad experience for people. It sucked. It was awful. So there's gotta be a middle ground here. But because it has to be better than the one remote that they've done. And it really sucks that they've robbed a lot of people of those moments. And it's also great when you're a young reporter that you're all of a sudden, the entire league is there. Yeah, you can network like a madman. You can go to the PHWA meeting. You can meet all these people. You can do so many different things and get yourself involved and ingratiated into the hockey community that you no longer will have. Now you'll have to go to the All-Star game, which sucks.
Yeah.
Nobody likes going to the All-Star game. It's a chore.
In conclusion, like I agree with Billy there. I was going to say that. And it's so important that everyone's in one city. Yeah. Everyone knows where everybody is. And it helps trades. It helps, like, I can't tell you the stories. Like, I mean, there's so many, you know, that you're like, oh, okay, hold on. Well, you know what? Why don't we just come to, let's meet on the 4th floor right now. Where's you guys' boardroom? And, you know, and I'm talking about the hotel, like, you know, the 3-4 days before. And then, of course, on the draft floor, there's so many deals are done on the draft floor. And I think you're taken away from that. I just like the thrill of the week, and everyone being there. And the scouts are so pumped to be there with their teams, and just to be around Jared Bednar, or, you know, like, and even coaches. They go there, they laugh because they're always like, oh, we have nothing to do, which they don't. But I think it's important for them to be around the team and around during the season. They're never around pro scouts. They're never around amateur scouts. You're never around those guys. It's important to go and grab a bite. You know what I mean? Like at the hotel, it's important to be part of those boardroom meetings. And I don't know. I just think that, oh, you're going to say, well, they can do that at home. Yeah, no, I get that. But it's just a little different. It's fun to be in one city where all 32 coaches are going to that meeting, the coaches meeting, and everyone's right there, and everyone's going to the PR meetings. Everyone's going. I don't know. I think they're just missing the boat. But then again, we'll finish on this.
Also, like somebody, I don't remember who it was. I assume it was Merrick or Friedman, one of the two that's talked about this a lot. But somebody reported that teams didn't like that they felt the tables were too close to each other. and some of their stuff was getting out, like other teams were in on it. Could we stop acting like this stuff is state secrets? Like this is all confidential information. Like this ridiculous.
Well, it's never happened to me, so I can be in a lot at drafts over my life. I've never seen that, and no one's like, oh, I don't buy that.
No copying.
Yeah, we just let's just stop acting like your free agency plans are all cloak and dagger here. Like, you like the guys that you like, great, but everybody has their own plan. They're going to do what's right for their organization. Are they really going to go out of their way to try and mess up your plan? Like, maybe once, or like, sure, maybe there's a little bit of that element of it, but give me a break. Everybody can look at everyone else. Every front office has people that they've hired who wake up every day and their job is to know the league inside and out. What is a weakness in other organizations that could create guys that might come available? I don't think Ross Colton is an Av right now. Do you think that there was not months worth of preparation that led into the decision to go out and get that guy? Like, everybody knew Tampa Bay was in a cap crunch and was going to have to do something. It was not some grand confidential secret that they were going to have a hard time continuing on the relationship with Ross Colton. Yeah. Like, give me a break with some of this stuff. Let's get over some of the self-importance involved in some of this. Yeah. And remember that these are life-changing moments for some of these kids. Yeah. You maybe not being able to go through with your grand secret free agency plan or whatever because somebody overheard you at the draft table is a good enough reason for this. It's between money and that bullshit, it just feels like they've lost sight of what makes the draft special.
Plus, they're going to have someone there on site anyway. So you're talking about the GM or, I mean, who, so then they're not with their crew? I mean, I don't know.
The NFL has been remote for basically my entire lifetime.
So
and they
who
just have representatives from the organization that take a phone call, write a name on a card, and they walk it up to the dude, and the dude walks out and announces it. Right. And the NFL has done a bunch of things to try and make it more special. Okay. But it is, like so many things about the NFL, it is a very sterilized environment that feels incredibly corporate and manufactured. Why in God's name the NHL would want to move in that direction, as Meghan mentioned, a league that is crying out for increased personality. A league that needs to do a better job of selling its players in those moments. You think Maverick Lamoureux would be a name that people remember if it were not for his parents making out after he got drafted? We're not ever going to get another Shane Wright staring daggers at the Canadiens draft table after he gets drafted. You get those things. Those are great moments. Eric Lindros not putting on the Nordiques jersey.
Mario.
There are some great moments. The Avalanche drafting Mark Denis when they don't even have a logo. Just says NHL on it. It was awesome.
It was a goalie helmet on the table. It said NHL.
It was awesome. Like, it was just, there are great moments that get produced by every single NHL draft, and I am adamant that this absolutely sucks.
I know.
It sucks for people like us who are the storytellers of the leagues. It sucks for the kids that might be the pinnacle of their hockey careers. For a lot of guys, it will be. It sucks for so many of the people that are not having to pay for it. And it's like, let's be real here. This is not such an exorbitant cost for these billion-dollar franchises that this is a good enough reason to do it like this. The timing aspect of it that gets brought up, make it earlier.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
It doesn't have to be so close to free agency.
Wow, that was hard.
I agree. It's always tough. Anyway, well, that concludes it today.
It was a long show. I'm sorry.
Long show, yeah. AJ was going on a rant. I thought it was going to be, I like it because I like that point. Drop us a like. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram. YouTube, DNVR Avalanche Podcast, all the above. It's always great to be around with you guys and to have you guys participate. So we thank you, and we'll see you not tomorrow, but Saturday for pregame, for a 5:30 pregame show, give and take, for a 6 o'clock game against Dallas. We'll see.
We all silly like the mayor.